Who knows what evil lurks in the minds of men? The shadow knows. I'm sorry. If you are and you're still alive, then you must remember the old radio show The Shadow. And that's the way it began all the time. Who knows what evil lurks in the minds of men? The shadow knows. And the shadow was basically your average everyday superhero. Because he couldn't see him because it was the radio, but he had abilities and superpowers. The shadow, let's see, he had immortality and he had super strength, enhanced durability. He had an enhanced jump. That's what they described. He had enhanced jump and enhanced stamina and extreme acrobatic skills and reflexes and indomitable will. He's quite a superhero, the shadow. So as humans, we also have special abilities and special powers. Because as you well know, as religious scientists, as students of science of mind, we have everything that we shall ever need to know when we need to know it, that we have. And I just said afraid in the title of the talk is, what are you afraid of? I just said afraid because I was messing with you because it's Halloween. You didn't get that. No, sorry. Anyway, I was messing with you. That's what I was doing. But afraid, fear and being afraid, they are two different things. And fear is something that we live with every single day. For some of us, fear is a driving force. It motivates us. There are so many definitions of fear. Let's see, face everything and rise, or face everything and run, or false evidence appearing to be real. Dr. Holmes says, fear is the antithesis of faith. And sometimes we say, and in fact, I do say, I call it misuse of faith. That's fear. I believe that fear, I got to throw something in here. I believe that fear is has a lot to do with resistance. Resistance feeds on fear. I've been reading James Pressfield's War of Art. It's a great book, and he's a great author and military and brilliant guy. And this War of Art is about resistance. And I like this book, and it's helpful. So let's examine resistance. Let's start with Marianne Williamson's very famous quote, of course, and you all know this quote. It's a long one, so hang in there. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Well, actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world, and there is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates us. Thank you, Marianne Williamson. So, misuse of faith. I like that one. We resist that which we do not know. And it's understandable. We're human, right? If I don't know what's around the corner, I'm going to walk pretty darn slow. I might even resist turning the corner. We call it fear, and we feel it as fear. And yet I contend that we are resistant to finding out just how amazing we are. And when I was studying science of mind with Dr. Tom Johnson, this is a great story about resistance. I was overwhelmed with the dream of becoming a minister. I wanted to be that more than anything. I wanted to be with others. I wanted to help others. I wanted to study more. I wanted to grow more. I wanted to live in the mystery, but I wanted to learn. I could not get myself to share this dream with anybody, not even Buzz, not even my husband. I was afraid to share it. I was resistant to sharing my dream with others. I held it in, resisting being laughed at, resisting being pushed beyond what I thought my capacity was, resisting being laughed at, resisting the idea that it might be too much for me, resisting the idea that it might cost too much, resisting the idea that the possibility of my life changing was pretty big if I became a minister. I resisted and resisted. And so now, Shingles is a great big designer owie right now. Shingles is so big, it has its own commercial on television. It's when you get that band of red stuff around your abdomen and it hurts, it burns, it itches. And so, well, way back then in my studies, I discovered this red band around my torso. And it hurt and it burned and it itched and it was big and ugly and red. And so I made an appointment to visit Dr. Tom and get spiritual mind treatment for this. I didn't know shingles, but this red thing around my torso, my midriff, all the way around. I wanted to get one of his miraculous spiritual mind treatments. He was known for being a healer, and his treatments were amazing and were powerful. And sometimes people would just call him on the phone and leave a message and say, "Dr. Tom, please treat," and hang up. So all they needed was to know that he was an absolutist, that he would put that into mind, and there was a healing. He was in practitioner class with Louise Hay in New York City, and they had two different styles, and she would do her style of treatment and he would do his. And there's a famous story about one time someone came up on the stage with a growth, and by the time, so Louise Hay was doing her connecting the dots of cause, and Dr. Tom just did his absolute treatment, and this thing disappeared while he was on stage. So anyway, I called Dr. Tom to get one of his treatments, knowing he would heal me. And he said, "Come in to the center and let's talk." So I went into the center and I sat down across from him and I said, "Dr. Tom, this has just come up." And I had just finished practitioner training with him and was moving along. So I just lifted up my shirt a little bit and I said, "Here's this big red thing around my midriff. And I need to have this gone because it's causing me great pain and it itches and burns." And Dr. Tom said one thing, and that was the end of our meeting. He said one thing, a question. He said, "Lynn, had you ever considered becoming a minister?" And he sat back in his big chair and he said, "I'll see you Sunday." And that was the end of our big treatment. It was gone in a day. I resisted. And sometimes they say, "Don't share your dream." I resisted telling people I was interested in going into ministerial training. I wouldn't tell anybody. Resistance, and it feeds on fear. I was afraid of ridicule. I was afraid of that it was too much for me. I wouldn't be able to do it, but I did it. I did it. So in my fear and resistance to this meeting, too, even I was afraid of the meeting. I was afraid of everything. So fear, resistance feeds on fear. It likes that. It likes that a lot. So Dr. Holmes said, and the biggest fear is not failure, by the way. And we know this. We find this out. We find this out, and it's like it's a big secret, and then we find this out, and it's no big secret. Our fear is not a failure. Our fear is a success. And I understand that. I agree with that. There's a lot of baggage that goes along with success. It brings a lot. In fact, jot down in the comments, if you'd like to, what you think that the baggage is for being successful. What is, it's not just a ta-da, I'm successful, and that's the end. There's back-end management and maintenance, and there's follow-through, and there's commitment, and then you have to reinvent yourself again. You just are not successful, and that's that. There's a lot of stuff. Success is a bitch, even more so than failure. Failure, you can just give up. Success, there are consequences of non-resistance to being who you want to be, being who you're born to be. So Dr. Holmes says, fear is the negation of confidence. Like faith, fear may be conscious or subjective, and if it is to be eliminated, it must be removed both consciously and subjectively. So I have another example, and then I'll let you go because we started late. My husband Buzz and I used to have a production company, and we had proposed a mystery dinner for the Ritz-Carlton for a division of Disney. And we had made the proposal, and I had to go into, it was for distribution, and I had to go into this office to meet this extremely powerful woman who was the head of distribution at Disney, and propose this silly little mystery dinner, which was our bread and butter. We actually had that business. We still do. It's been almost 40 years. So I had to go in and meet this powerful woman, and I was terrified. And I had just read The Power of Now, and in it, Eckhart Tolle has a process to eliminate fear. And as Dr. Holmes said, you need to, if you want to remove fear, you do it consciously and subjectively. And like stage fright, same thing with stage fright. I still have it. I'm 76 years old and I still have stage fright. I was afraid. So I sat down in the car in the parking lot before I went into the big black tower at Universal Studios. Yeah, it was on that lot. Anyway, here's the process. I had a conversation with myself, and I said, Lynn, going in here to meet this powerful woman, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I said, oh, that's easy to answer.